we need to introduce the unity of those mechanisms, but is not inside of those mechanisms. The unity is an epistemological different world. This is the I, the life, or the mind. This unity corresponds to the development of cell, organism, and the evolution of species. The self, the mind, does not evolve, just the cell and the species evolve. Cognitive neuroscience, this new science that appeared in the last 40 years, is a pseudoscience. They check, for instance, for the unity of consciousness with the brain, but it's completely wrong, because this cognitive neuroscience is a pseudoscience because they unify two epistemological different worlds, and this is impossible. It's the brain that belongs to macro-epistemological and the mind that is an epistemological world, and they try to put together phenomena that belongs to two epistemological different worlds, and this is the main mistake. So it is not possible to be a science. I try to explain better the epistemological different worlds using the analogy between table and microparticles. The table belongs to macro-epistemological world. In the same world, epistemological world, is the other table and the chair and this laptop. All these objects belong to the same epistemological world, macro-epistemological world. The microparticles belong to micro-epistemological worlds. If I send an electron towards the table, the electron does not interact with the table. The electron interacts with the microparticle that for us represent the table. In fact, the table, the planet, does not exist for any microparticles. So this is the reason that we have to, the reality is epistemological world and not the world. The unity of the I represents indeterminate individuality of the life and or mind. Indeterminate individuality is an entity with potential determination in the future. So we have the self has some potential determination, and in one context, one feature become actual from potential. The notion of life and mind has no plural. I cannot say different minds, as is usually used in philosophy. Different minds. No. A mind, any mind, is an epistemological world. And you can, an epistemological world does not exist for the other epistemological world. So we cannot say that there are multiple minds. There is just my mind. Your mind, I have never seen your mind. So your mind does not exist for my mind. You have your mind, but it's an epistemological world, and we cannot create any relationship between two epistemological different worlds. I said that any mental states process or feature that is determined is the I. In mind or brain, there is no space or color, but we have a kind of representation of space or color that is in the mind, but not in the brain. We don't have color in the brain. We don't have color in the mind. So this is completely wrong in cognitive neuroscience, what they try to explain. Without space, life and mind, it's this indeterminate individuality with its unity. This unity cannot be identified using any tools of observation, so there is no tools of observation for observing mind or life. And I believe in the future, it is impossible to create tools that we can use to perceive life or mind. I emphasize there is no continuity between non-living and living entities, because non-living entities belong to epistemological worlds than living entities. That living entities is an epistemological, any living entity is an epistemological world, and there is no continuity between non-living and living. Knowledge of a subject, human subject, the knowledge of a human subject represents her subjectivity, and her subjectivity is her mind or her life. There is no difference between knowledge, subjectivity, and life or mind. I have no time to talk about implicit and explicit knowledge from cognitive neuroscience, but you can find this in my books. Another notion that is wrong, internal feeling or external space. Since the I is an epistemological world, we cannot talk about the external of epistemological world. It doesn't exist an external of an epistemological world. So, internal, I have a feeling in my side. It is a wrong notion, because there is no external and internal. Perception, any perceptions. I perceive this table, but the table is in macro epistemological world, but the perceptions of this table is my mind. It's not external. The perception is it's in my mind, that means it's in my epistemology from world. And outside the table belongs to another epistemological. What is the relation between my mind that is an epistemological world and macro epistemological that is external? It's not external. There is no relationship. There is no relation. My mind is an epistemological world, and the perception of this table is in my mind. From a human viewpoint, there are not too many epistemological worlds, but extending the condition of observation and interaction to all entities in this, all entities that we know, the number of epistemological worlds increases considerably. With epistemological worlds, we reject levels, emergence, cyclogenesis, composition, entanglement, non-locality, complexity, causality. Many types of causalities are rejected. And after this, I introduced the last principle. This is a kind of hyper principle, as I call it in my books. Being, or life, or the I, or the mind, is, therefore, epistemological worlds are. Objective reality for all epistemological worlds is the same. There are no criteria for differentiating their objective reality. All epistemological worlds are, and we cannot say that this epistemological world exists and the other one doesn't exist. No, all have the same object reality. Mind and body, waves and particles, micro entities and micro entities, all other are or belong to epistemologically different worlds. So it's completely wrong to say, to check for the interaction between mind and brain, between waves and particles, between micro and macro. It is completely wrong to claim that they are identical. There is the identity between mind and brain, between micro and macro, because they belong to epistemological worlds. Introducing this perspective, epistemological worlds, we move in the history of human thinking. We move from the man being the center of the universe. We move to alone in the universe. Appears Darwin, who claimed that in fact we are the results of evolution of species, and we are not even alone in the universe now because of the epistemological worlds. Each self is an epistemological world. Each self is an epistemological world. So we cannot say even that we are alone. You are an epistemological world. And where are the others? All the bodies of human beings, all the bodies and the brains are in the same world, macro epistemological world. But their self, their mind, are epistemological worlds. So we cannot find any relationship between my mind and my body, and no relationship between my mind and your mind. Your mind doesn't exist for my mind, because each of the minds are epistemological worlds, and it's meaningless to ask what is the relationship. We can ask the relationship between our bodies, but not about our mind. It's not that there is no relationship. It's a meaningless question to ask, where is your mind? It's a meaningless question, relationship with my mind. It's a meaningless question. Now we return to those four big problems, important problems, great problems. The world does not exist. Those problems and many other sub-problems are in fact pseudo-problems created by the human beings during the centuries. Philosophy is that? Hawking saying this. But what about science? Science could not solve these four problems during at least 1 century. In fact, the scientists have been working for more than 1 century in a completely wrong framework, the unicorn one. So both philosophers and scientists were working in a wrong framework. Scientific problems, in fact, there were philosophical problems that represent the Weltanschauung, and this Weltanschauung was until now the unicorn world. I imagine Hume laughing and telling us, hey, postmodern human being, quite many pseudo-causalities dominate your world. This is what Hume would say in our days. After Copernicus, Darwin, Freud, with his Alone in the World, Einstein, with his creating particular frameworks. After Copernicus, Darwin, Freud, revolutions against different myths in human thinking, we have to reject another myth, the world. Once again, to mount a Copernican revolution for discarding our special status. World does not exist. Absolutely from perspective changes the largest Weltanschauung, ironically, a wrong notion. Throw into the garbage the most tangible but the most dangerous notion, the world, the universe, the reality. Are you now, when you find that the world doesn't exist, are you frightened? In Nietzsche's style, I finally proclaim, the world is dead. Long life, absolutely different words. I end my presentation with Salvador Dali. Have no fear of perfection, you will never reach it. Nevertheless, perfection is reached when your philosophical work is plagiarized by a professor of philosophy from a German university. Thank you very much. Questions, if you have questions about this very short presentations. So no questions? Everything is so clear that
you said there is no interaction between epistemology and...
no, it's meaningless question. I didn't say that there are no interaction between epistemology. I said interaction between epistemological words is meaningless. To ask about these interactions is meaningless question.
So, for example, if I have a magnet and the force field generated by that magnet, are they the same epistemology?
Yes, they belong to...
So they belong to the same?
Yeah. Wait a moment. If you speak about magnetic field, we have to recall that the waves and the microparticles belong to epistemological worlds.
But still there is a relation between the magnet and the field itself.
Look, I'm not physicist, and I don't know if there is a relationship between magnet, the field, and the magnet. But what I can tell you is, I repeat, the wave and the microparticles belong to epistemological worlds. I don't know with the field and the magnet what is the situation, but maybe it's the same. There are epistemological worlds, maybe, I'm not sure. But the wave and the microparticles are epistemological worlds. So it's meaningless question. What is the relationship between wave and the microparticle? Any microparticle is correlated with a wave, but the relation between them is meaningless because they belong to epistemological worlds.
Still, we cannot talk about the field without a magnet, and we cannot talk about the magnet without its field.
We cannot. It was until now. You could not talk about a wave without a microparticle, but in fact they belong to epistemological worlds. You cannot talk about life without a cell or an organism, but they belong to epistemological worlds. They belong to epistemological worlds. You cannot talk about life without an organism. Yes, but this is correspondence. It's not identity. It's not emergence. It's just epistemological worlds. Okay, you cannot talk about life without an organism, but it doesn't mean that there is a dependence of life with that organism. There are just epistemological worlds, not dependence. I reject any kind of dependence between life and organism, between waves and microparticles, between micro and macro. Any kind of. It's meaningless, not I reject. It's meaningless. Try to understand this. Such relationships are meaningless. Don't think that, okay, we don't have any relationship. No, it's wrong to say we don't have any relationship between micro and macro, life and organism. No, it's wrong answer. It's meaningless question to ask what is the relationship between organisms because they belong to epistemological world. And to ask what is the relationship between this epistemology and the other is meaningless question because it doesn't exist one or with the other one. Epistemological world doesn't exist. So what to ask? What is an entity from one epistemological world with something that doesn't exist for that entity? So it's meaningless question. I hope with my perspective, epistemological worlds, I